Introducing eighth notes. Okay, so when you want to split a quarter note, you end up having two eighth notes. Okay, each of these eighth note equals half of a beat. So the total is one quarter note. Okay, it's like dividing a pizza, that's a quarter note, and into half, and each eighth note equals half of the value or half of the pizza. Okay, so when you draw the eighth note by itself, you have the note head filled with the stem, and you have a little flag. Okay, that's when the stem is pointing down. You can also have the stem pointing up and this flag going like that. Okay, now when you have two eighth notes together, you usually see them with a beam connecting the two stems. Okay, so those are eighth notes. In timing, if these are quarter notes, 1, 1, 1, 1, when you split all of them into eighth notes, it sounds like 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so I'm going to have in a 4/4 time, I'm going to play 4 quarter notes, first measure, and I'm going to play 8 eighth notes in one measure. It will sound like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, did you hear the quarter notes are evenly divided? Okay, now you have a example on page 23. Here's a little rhythm exercise, okay, for you to practice, and this is the rhythm that we're going to use for Clementine. Okay, so here we have 2 eighth notes and a quarter, quarter, eighth, eighth, quarter, quarter, eighth, eighth, quarter, quarter, eighth, eighth, half note. Okay, so 1 half note actually equals 4 eighth notes. Okay, just you know. All right, now how do we count the eighth? We usually count one end. Okay, so the end is the split of the eighth note. Okay, so here this one is actually a upbeat. Remember upbeat? It's the incomplete measure comes before the first complete measure. Okay, the beats. So here it's only one beat because 2 eighth note equals 1 beat, and that's the third beat because we have a 3/4 time signature. The last beat, the last one single beat is the third beat. So this is 3 and. Okay, 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and. Okay, so you can look at this exercise and hear me playing this rhythm. I'm going to use middle C. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 1 and 2 and. Where's the 3 and? At the beginning. You're splitting the last measure. 2 counts here, and the last count is right here at the beginning. Okay, so that's eighth note, and we are using eighth note for Clementine. Okay, before I talk about Clementine, one more thing I want to talk about is the eighth rest. Okay, eighth rest is just like an eighth note. Okay, it equals half of the value of the quarter note. Okay, so eighth note equals half a beat, then eighth rest equals half of a beat. Okay, so you can pair the eighth rest with eighth note. So if I have a rhythm, let's see, how about in a 3/4 time, and I start with a eighth rest and I go with alternate with the eighth note like this. Okay, can you see that? Okay, that should be one measure. And this is the first beat, and this is the end, the second half of the first beat, second beat, second half, 3 and. Okay, so how do I play this rhythm here? Okay, it's going to sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and, like that, because on the beat we have the eighth rest, and on the second half of the beat we have the eighth note. Okay, so just something that I would like you to know. So here we have the Clementine. We are starting from the upbeat, which is the 3B, third beat, okay? 3 and. This is the 1 and. Make sure you wait for the end. Now when you are splitting the quarter note into half beats, you want to keep counting the end after each beat, because you want to keep that space for that duration. You want to keep that the space for, how do I say that, for each half of the count. Okay, in order to do that, it's good to count out loud with the end. Okay, so for example, here we have 3 and, 3 and 1 and, 2 and, 3 and. This note in the left hand falls on the second beat, because the right hand is resting on the second beat. Okay, so 1 and, 2 and, 3 and. Make sure you count the end after the beat. Very important here. 1 and, 2 and, 3 and. 1 and, 2 and, 3 and. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate the first line. Okay, so here we go. At the C position, 1 and 2 and, 3 and 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 1 and 2 and. Okay, I'm going to stop here for a second. Okay, so that's correctly. Now this is not correct, but a lot of students make this mistake. So I want to demonstrate this mistake. Please do not play like this. 3 and 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2. What is wrong with that? Did you notice in the mistake, all the notes sounds exactly the same in terms of duration? 3 and 1, 2. 1, 1, 1, 1. What's the difference? Okay, the quarter note is supposed to be longer or double the duration of the eighth note. So if your eighth note sounds like this, 1, 1, then your quarter note should be 1, 1, 1, 1. Needs to be longer. So be careful. That's why you want to count aloud when you practice this. 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and. Okay, so please do not rush to put everything together, but make sure your rhythm is absolutely correct before you put both hands together. Okay, so how do you get that absolutely correct? Count aloud, and that would be very helpful. Okay, so one more time from the top. 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 1 and 2 and okay, so I went ahead and done the whole piece, but few things you should pay attention when you practice is that we are shifting the thumb again. So most of the time your thumb is on middle C, but at the end your thumb is shift down to B, and make sure you keep other fingers at their original place. You don't shift everything, okay? Just the thumb. Okay, so that's one thing. 2, of course, the most important is the rhythm. Please keep counting. And 3, the left hand is going back and forth between the C chord and the G7 chord, okay? C chord and C chord, okay? So the most important thing is the rhythm. Please count. Okay, so I would highly recommend you clap the rhythm before you start. 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, and this is the rhythm pattern for the whole piece. So please keep that in mind and count when you practice. All right, so have fun with this song. And I think when you are really good, you can get a little bit faster, but I would not recommend too fast, because I don't think if it's too fast, you can actually sing the lyrics clearly, right? In a cavern, in a cavern, in a canyon, in a cavern, in a canyon. Repeat. Alright, so there, I don't think you need to play any faster than that. Alright, so now have a good practice.